After exploring over 70 neighborhoods already, one wonders what other neighborhoods can offer that the other 70 haven't already done. How can I keep the excitement of the first adventures? This too was one of my concerns until I realized that with every new neighborhood I visit, whether they are well known or not, I keep finding fresh stories and places ready to be shared with the world.
This is what you're gonna see in this video, something you probably have never seen before, not from this angle. Gotta wait almost until the end, but it's gonna be super interesting.
My dear friend Jack will guide me through the neighborhood of Cheongnyangni-dong, where an abandoned mental hospital awaits us. Yes, totally Gonjian vibes.
Today we're gonna do Cheongnyangni-dong. It took me some time to learn the pronunciation, because if you just look at the letters, it's like Cheongnyangni.
It's hard to pronounce. It's a tongue twister.
A tongue twister, definitely.
Cheongnyangni-dong is infamously known for its red light district, or should I say was, because it has completely disappeared.
Is it gone? Is it still there?
It's completely gone. It's all of these buildings.
That was a big Google search. If you try to find anything about Cheongnyangni, pops up.
So that was kind of what the area was known for.
I read somewhere that the glass boxes were inspired by the red light district in Amsterdam.
That's right.
Many things called Cheongnyangli are technically not in Cheongnyangni-dong, like the Cheongnyangni Station. So we will include Yeongdeudong and Cheongnyangni-dong in today's adventure.
All through the night, they're making deliveries here. The people are up very early in the morning. This never stops.
This gives me the old Noryeongjin vibes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think there was some vendors from Noryeongjin to here after the reconstruction of that market. So you have a mix of hanok here, you have a mix of villas, and then you have some of the bigger single houses that were built around 1976, 1977. And I always find those interesting because of the vernacular touches on them. The banisters, the front gates are all...
I love the front gates.
Yes, and you'll see a lot of those in this area.
Wow,
you can see the contrast.
See the contrast here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, these are the neighborhoods you can just walk around for hours and not be bored at all. But all the typical shops like the Sitak, right? And I love these, like Dongma, Kopchang Cheap, like these signs.
Yes, the older signs that haven't been replaced with peeling
Hope.
letters. Yes.
And then doors. And you wonder what happens if you go in here.
Right.
These are huge. How many floors are they?
I think the tallest one of the ones that's been built is probably at the station. It's 65 floors.
This is very personal and almost impossible to explain, but neighborhoods like these carry a strong charm on their shoulders. Maybe it's because I lived in similar neighborhoods over the last 7 years. It gives off a warm feeling. I have nothing against anything new, but it would be ideal if the new at least tried to give something of a charm.
I just can't believe that we just came out of this really old and traditional 70s, 80s neighborhood, and then suddenly you're here in the midst of these giant towers. And then everything is vacant. In front of us there, behind us. Well, it's all vacant. And below,
How many signs?
oh my God. What's going on? And it's been here for already a year or so? Maybe less?
6 months, maybe.
6 months?
6 months to a year, depending on the building.
Maybe.
They're predicting that there's going to be this huge floating population in this area.
Yes, there are 150,000 people a day at Cheongnyangni Station. But I heard they're predicting a double by 2027. So maybe it's not that weird that all these towers are growing like mushrooms. Commercially vacant mushrooms.
And this, line 1, this was the terminus for the original line 1 track. So it started at Seoul Station and it ended at Chongyangni. So Cheongyangni Station line 1 has been designated as Seoul Future Heritage.
So here we are at the station.
Cheongyangni Station. It's a bit quiet today.
So do you know why this station, or when and at what point it became this?
Well, it was a big station going back to the colonial period because Cheongyangni was kind of the end of a train track that came from what's now North Korea, Wonsan. And then during the Korean War, this was where a lot of soldiers would disembark for farmers bringing goods from Gyeonggi and Gangwon to the market. This is where all the goods would be imported. So Cheongyangni kind of was like an inland port. But it was an important transit hub dating all the way back to the early 1900s when there was the tram. That's because Kojong would come to visit his wife's grave, which was in Cheongyang. So Empress Yeongseong, Queen Ming, who was assassinated by the Japanese, her tomb was in Cheongyang. Kojong died. The tombs were moved out to Namyang. And he used to take the tram, which was, I think It started in Seoul, it ended in Cheongnyangni.
I just completely imagine the king coming here on a streetcar. That gets unthinkable today, right?
One of the things I love in this series is finding old traces. Today the tram is nowhere to be seen, but hidden on the private grounds of Cheongnyangni Station there's a remarkable building.
So guys, we managed to get in, to walk in. Nobody stopped us at the entrance. You can see the building from up close.
It stands out because it simply looks old with a red brick frame. The construction was established in 1938 and used as a tram platform of Cheongnyangni Station, and later as a tram shed for reparations and all. I can't help but get excited about finding these little heritage gems.
So this is the gate where we just walked through to see the old buildings, but you're not supposed to walk in without permission. We eventually got permission to stay and film for a bit. 네? 길 갈 거예요? 네. We're on our way to a mental hospital, one that is not in use anymore.
Opened in 1945.
1945.
And the building that's there now was completed in 1966. It closed around 2018, 2019, planning to turn the site into a 24 office town.
Do you think people want to live in a former mental hospital?
They demolish the building, clean up the site, maybe don't put a placard that it was there. You know, if you were found fighting on the street or if you were drunk, police might pick you up, take you there. And the police, as this clip suggested, police would get a kickback for each person, and then obviously the mental hospital would get money.
뭐 내가 정신병자냐?
주소는 물어보던가요?
아니에요, 안 물어봤어요.
안 물어봤어요?
They interviewed some people who had been put there forcibly against their will. And they said, you know, we gave the phone number of our family member and asked for them to be called. They wouldn't call the family.
Oh.
Maybe release them a week later and give the family a bill. Before the original building, very famous people stayed there. The artist Lee Jung-suk, whose art is in the MMCA, he was a patient there.
Then suddenly, there it was, a prison-like building, abandoned and known as the Cheongyangni Chongsin-byungwon. It precisely gives the feelings one would expect from an abandoned mental hospital.
정신병이 아니고 길거리에서 술 먹고 그런 사람들 여기 들어오고
아, 그래요?
그런 적이 있었다고.
아.
저는 이 동네 오래 살았어요. 그래서 이거에 대한 개념이 별로 없어요. 근데 이제 이렇게 새롭게 오신 분들은 혐오 시설이라든가 그런 생각을 가지고 있고요. 옛날에는 여기가 산이었대요. 그러니까 저희는 이 동네 살아도 들어가고 나가는 거 하나 볼 수가 없어요. 예.
Of course, what do you expect from an abandoned mental hospital? It's a perfect ingredient for ghost stories. But it doesn't mean some stories aren't true. It was even covered on NBC News. I suggest you check it out if you speak Korean. Also, Jack, who wrote his undergraduate thesis about mental health in Korea and this hospital, surveyed many of the people living nearby.
Prison, 감옥 같은 느낌이에요.
예, 왜 그러느냐면 난 들어가 보지는 않았어요. 맨 처음에는 저렇게 철장이 없었어요. 근데 그 후에 이제 여러 사람들이 오면서 바깥에 나가려고 그러니까 그렇게 맨 처음에는 저런 게 없었어요.
It's so abandoned that the birds have taken over. Yeah. Wow, this is fascinating. This is the stuff you won't easily find on the internet.
No.
Nor while walking around in a neighborhood, you wouldn't find
don't
anything.
necessarily know what it is, right?
And then there's beautiful Hanok here suddenly. I've been too long in Korea because every time we talk about the 70s, 80s, I feel like, oh, that's a long time ago. In the Netherlands, everybody would laugh at that.
Right.
It's like, what are you talking about? Old.
You know, this is old.
Oh yeah, that's Korea. That's also fun about Korea, that you appreciate something that's 100 years old more than what I would do in the Netherlands.
Yes. Yeah, totally. No, I felt that way when I was in Paris in December because everything there is, you know, 1600s, 1700s, and then come back to Korea. This is from 1980. That's amazing.
Exactly. It's amazing that's still here. Exactly that.
One of those places would be the Miju Apartments, which opened in 1978, an accompanying arcade with cool bricks in the entrance hall.
Oh yeah.
Check out the bricks here.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
on this side,
We're now nearing the Gyeongdong market area, a vast market where food is often purchased for a very reasonable price, compared to other places in Seoul. Here, the ingopang is 1,000 won for 5 pieces, and delicious too.
What's soyo?
멋있죠?
네.
한국 고유의 하우스.
근데 이런 한옥 제일 멋있어요.
그렇죠. 한국말 너무 잘하시나요? Korean speak very well.
아니에요. 감사합니다.
잘하시네.
아직도 열어 있어요? 이 가게요?
아니요.
아니요?
없어요.
아.
여기가 이제 재건축 아시죠? 새로 짓는 집들. 이제 이거 오래된 집이라 한 50년, 100년 이렇게 된 집이에요. 그래서 재건축으로 들어가요. 그래서 이것도 없어질 가능성이 100%, %로.
없어지면 기분이 어때요? 어떠나요?
안 좋죠.
안 좋아요?
옛날에 그 살던 그 아름다운 골목이며 이런 게 없어지니까
네.
안 좋죠. Good, have a nice.
네네네. Wow. But it looks very majestic. Yes.
On our way to the last and most interesting place, we stumbled on an area that was going up for development. To tell you the truth, I am no longer surprised by the number of places I have found like this in recent months. It feeds the urgency of rapidly filming old neighborhoods, but unfortunately, I can't do it any faster than I already do.
So Jack, where are we now?
We're in the Hungrung Jutek area, Hungrung revival housing. These were houses that went up with aid materials between like 1955 and 1957.
8 materials.
Aid materials, foreign aid materials. So there was a lot of destruction and people were flowing into this area. They needed to build housing for them. They haven't really changed that much. We'll see a few examples here where the original structure is very well preserved, but over time on both sides people have renovated and brought the properties out. This is original, the mix of the cement and the stone. Here you can see how it's been expanded out with the brick on the front and the back.
Ah, yeah.
So originally it was quite small.
By looking at the map, you already know an interesting neighborhood is waiting for you. Interestingly, the Hongnung Revival Housing Complex maintained its appearance from the time of its construction. I can imagine how valuable this place is for Korean architecture history. To top it off, the alleys have this wonderful community feel to them. With hardly any car traffic, it feels so peaceful. They even have their own community poet.
여기 오래 사셨어요?
예.
그래요?
용농에 오래 살았어요.
언제부터요?
30살에 와서 지금 80이에요.
80에.
예.
와, 너무 반갑습니다.
대구에서 30살에 여기 왔어요. 그래서 30살에 와서 지금 이제 내가 82인가? 나이도 모르겠네 이제.
아, 근데 그때부터 살기 많이 바뀌었어요?
예, 사람들이
네.
옛날에 살던 사람들이 없어요 지금. 다 이사가고. 그리고 새로보다 온 사람들에서 낯선 사람들이에요. 사람들 살기가 좋아요 여기가.
아직도 너무 건강해 보여요.
네, 감사합니다.
네, 건강하세요?
네.
네, 감사합니다. That was a bright spirit.
Then there's one more thing left to do. And that's seeing the Hongnung Revival houses from above. And damn, I love this view.
I've never seen anything like this before, ever, in Seoul.
Very
style.
unique.
Very
Very
unique.
flat.
This also concluded our Cheongnyangli adventure. And yeah, there's always more, but I can't look underneath every stone on the street. Plus, I want to keep things to explore for my next visit. For now, Cheongnyangli goes in the books as the neighborhood where drunks could end up in a mental hospital. Welcome to Madong.
Hello.